Hello, TikTok. Um, how's everybody doing today? Hope you're having a great day. It's nice and sunny where I am from. Nice and warm, finally, for a couple of days anyway. So yeah, I don't really use TikTok to talk about like my personal life and things that I'm doing and all of that. It's just kind of been a fun thing to do. The videos that I've posted, they're not really personal. Um, I mean, they are personal, but they're not like what's going on in my life other than like what Jesus is doing in my life. So I have lots of Jesus stories in my life going on that have been going on right now. To update you, first of all, I got married to the most amazing man in October 2021, and also I'm in love with my wedding pictures. They're great. I'll have to make a video for more of those because just look at them. I'm obsessed. Anyway, the honeymoon was great. However, I basically got pregnant on the honeymoon. Way to go, fam, right? We got to see our little baby bean in my tummy, and we have a little video of her little heart just beating. However, 9 days later, they couldn't find any cardiac activity, and it was declared a miscarriage. But we were hopeful, so we didn't do anything about it and waited about 4 weeks. I was getting really, really sick. I mean, I was sick while everything was developing and normal pregnancy stuff, but I was starting to get really, really sick. Um, so that was not a good time. We ended up going back for another ultrasound to see if anything had kind of gotten better. It did not, unfortunately, and they sent me home with some medication to take. I was so scared to take the medicine that I was shaking and crying my eyes out. I had so much anxiety, so I ended up not taking the medicine. Now, here's where Jesus comes in. Obviously, I mean, he gave us the baby and we were excited to become parents and all of that. But he let us go through this experience to experience him deeper. So to back up a little bit, I have a lot of health problems. So I have lupus, I have mono, I am being watched carefully by a rheumatologist for ankylosing spondylitis, and a bunch of other stuff. So there's that background, and maybe I'll make a video about that later. So we were not like, I've been in a lupus flare for a few months, and we were not trying to get pregnant. Um, so if you can't tell, like if you see my face, you can like see this little beautiful little rash here. Sometimes it's faint, sometimes it's not, sometimes it covers my whole face, but anyways, that's an indication of lupus. So, anyway, I was having like a lot of emotional problems on the honeymoon just because A, I was on my period. Um, B, I was taking this new medication for lupus and it was just, the side effects were just terrible. It was bad, so I stopped taking it. So that was an interesting time too. I'll make another video about that later. But that's the medical background. So now I've been given this new medication to help the miscarriage to happen, and I'm doing research. I don't like sticking anything in my body that I don't know what's in it, and I like having an educated choice. Like, I basically only take vitamins. I try to eat healthy. I hate medication. Like, I know it can help a lot of people. I just don't want it anywhere near the inside of my body or the outside for that matter. Anyway, So I'm doing research. They give us the pill on like Wednesday, and um I was just terrified. I'm like, let's wait till the weekend and maybe it'll be okay and maybe things will start processing naturally since like it stopped developing. Unfortunately, things did not start progressing at all. So Thursday rolls around and my parents come over. Side note, I have a story about where the apartment we were living in at the time. Thankfully, we moved, but it was interesting. But anyway, my parents came over to just be there, so when things start happening, they could be there. Asa was home. He took off work so he could be with me. So I go to the bathroom before mom and dad get there, and just thinking about taking the medicine. And I'm telling you that God did not want me to take that pill. I'd heard of so many disasters about people's health after taking it, and I did not want to experience that. I am a pansy, so I was terrified. I went to the bathroom and I was shaking uncontrollably and bawling, like sobbing my eyes out. I just couldn't handle it. So mom and dad finally get there, and I'm like cleaning myself up, and I'm outside of the bathroom, and we were in kind of like a studio apartment sort of setup, so it was like a big open space. Our bedroom was basically in the living room, so that was fun. But anyway, I'm sitting on the bed eventually, and dad's like, you need to go ahead and take it. We came here to be here for you, and we're here. And mom was like, you need to, go ahead and start this process. And I was so terrified. I hugged mom, and I was bawling my eyes out, and dad came over and hugged us. And so anyway, I was so like not at peace and so anxious about doing this. And mom was like, well, okay, let's pray. Let's just pray about it. So my mom prays that we would and I had been praying too, but I hadn't really been praying for like the Lord's will to be done. I was more or less praying for I want this to happen this way so I don't have to go through what I think is going to be terrible. And getting a DNC was also on my list of terrible things to go through, and I thought it would be horrible. So anyway, I was praying for what I wanted and not what God wanted. But my mom was praying for what God wanted. And within the next 5 minutes, my dad called my aunt, and she has been in the medical field for decades, and she had 5 miscarriages. And she was like, honey, you need to go get the surgery. You need to go get the surgery, and you need to do it fast. And I was like, okay, that settles it. But right before my aunt was on the phone, Asa was like, well, what about a DNC? And I was still like, I don't think that that's the route that I want to go. I don't want to do that either. And anyway, so now we're on the phone with my aunt, and she was like, you need to get the surgery done. And I'm like, okay. So, alrighty then. So I'm messaging a ton of people. I'm like, when you miscarried, did you get surgery, or did you do things naturally? And when I say I messaged people, I didn't just know that all of these women miscarried their babies, okay? I had no clue. I thought I was alone, and I thought that nobody else had experienced what I was going through, but that was the biggest lie ever. It is so much more common than people realize. And I just want to say that if you're experiencing this, you're not alone. Literally, I would say everybody has experienced it at least once. And for the people that don't talk about it, you should be able to feel comfortable to talk about it. There is nothing wrong with you or your body. Things just happen sometimes, and it's okay to talk about it. don't feel ashamed and don't be afraid. People aren't going to judge you. So just know that, you're not alone in this. But I was feeling very alone. So I made a post on Facebook because I was close to the time where we would have announced the pregnancy anyway. And I asked Ace if I could put it on social media, and he said sure. So I made a post on Facebook about the miscarriage and everything, and asked mothers who had miscarried to, reach out to me and support because I really needed it. And they did. And that was awesome. So anyway, I was talking to them, messaging them, and was like, listen, I need advice, where did you go? Who would you go to? And I was seeing a provider for obstetrics that I did not like. I thought they were great. They were recommended to me. And it was not a good situation. So I knew I had to do something, and I wasn't sure where to go or what to do. So it was just crazy. So I called my pastor's wife, and I was like, hey, because we had been talking about this whole situation for a few weeks, and I was like, what do I do? Like, where do I go? What do I do? Because I really don't like where I was. I was going to a practitioner that I just had a really bad feeling about. So, I was trying to get out of there. And so she was like, well, I recommend this doctor in this place because I went to them for this pregnancy after we moved here, and they were great. They took really good care of me. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll call that guy. And so I gave the office a call, and the nurse was like, so this isn't something that you just call and be like, I need this surgery done. Like, you have to be referred by a doctor. And I was like, oh. And she was like, however, he was booked out like months and months and months, like, and I couldn't get in, basically, is the gist of it. And I was like, oh, well, okay, thank you. She was like, I recommend you trying to find somewhere else. And I was like, okay, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, yada, yada, trying to be nice and all of that jazz. And so I called my pastor's wife back, and I was like, they're booked. I can't get in. And she was like, well, I recommend this hospital because they specialize in high-risk pregnancy and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, cool. So thank you, whatever. I'm just like asking a whole bunch of people all at once, like, where do I go for this surgery? Because I need it done, and I need it to be done with somebody that I feel comfortable with. And I messaged one friend in particular, and she was like, she recommended the same place that my pastor's wife did. And I was like, okay, cool. And she was like, actually, I have a friend that works there as a nurse, and I'm going to ask her if she can help you. And I was like, okay, great. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So she got back with me, and she was like, so my friend, the nurse, she actually talked to the OB that would do the surgery, and the OB told her to tell you to call, put your name on the list, and she'd see you tomorrow. And I was like, what? Okay. So I called the front desk, and I'm like, hi, this is my name, and I need to be put on to see this doctor. And they're like, okay, we got you down. Thank you. And I was like, what? This doesn't happen. This isn't just something that happens. This is not how it works. Okay? It's not how it works. So I have an appointment to get my surgery done the next day at 10 o'clock. And I was like, what? And I was like, yo, mom, dad, Ace, get over here. And I told them what had just happened. And they were like, I guess we're going to the town tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, we all are. So that was insane. As soon as I made the appointment, I was just completely engulfed with peace. Like, that was the right decision. That was the path that God needed me to walk. And I was so thankful that we took time to stop and just ask for his help and his guidance in his will and not in what we wanted. So flash forward to the next day. It's 5:30. We're getting ready and all of that. We're taking my parents' vehicle because it'll fit all of us. And it was kind of snowy, and Dad's a really good driver. Ace is a good driver too, but Dad's got a little more experience. And we take the dog with us because the hospital is like 18 minutes away from Ace's parents. So we go early enough to drop the dog off and get to the hospital. Well, on the way to Ace's parents' house, I get a phone call from the secretary at the hospital, and she was like, hey, so basically all of her patients canceled today, and you can come as early as you need to. And I was like, thanks, we'll be there ASAP. So we got there like an hour earlier than we were scheduled to be there, and got me all prepped. Asa was able to go back with me and meet the doctor and all of that, and so that was really cool. One of the things that I remember, they had to get an ultrasound because they didn't have like the medical records from the OB because it wasn't in that particular system. So they had to get an ultrasound before they could do the surgery to confirm that it was a miscarriage. And they did the ultrasound, and it made me tear up a little bit because there was no more fluid in my uterus. So and the body was just kind of laying there. It wasn't floating or anything like that. So that was like, I wish I wouldn't have looked, but I'm kind of glad that I did because it just gave me even more peace that my baby was in heaven with Jesus and didn't have to suffer. So the surgery went great. They didn't find any cancers or anything. Everything went really, really well. And that was the best nap I've ever had in my life. And I woke up super hungry and ready to eat because I wasn't able to eat while I was pregnant very much. So we got out of there, went to a steakhouse. I ate a whole bunch of food, went to Ace's parents' house. I ate even more food. I had an appetite. I lost my appetite shortly after Thanksgiving, and like was throwing up a lot. I had lost like 8 pounds while I was pregnant instead of gaining weight there in the first trimester because I was just so sick and nauseous and everything smelled bad. So I said, and I felt great. Like, I felt like myself. The depression went away. Like, everything was so much better. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm glad I didn't have my baby. That's not what I mean. Because I was devastated. But I was feeling so much better after getting the dead body that I was carrying out of my body. And I said all of those other parts to say, for a believer, when God is telling you to do something or not to do something, or if you're praying for something to happen that you want, make sure that you are praying for His will to be done, even if it's not what you want. I didn't want to lose my baby. I didn't want to take medication. I didn't want to have to go through surgery because I was terrified. But He provided every single step, every single thing that we needed. He provided. And on top of all of it, He anointed us with His peace. I had so much peace amidst the depression and the sadness and the devastation. I was covered in His peace. And that's the peace that the Bible describes that passes all understanding. It doesn't make sense as to why I'm okay. But I am so thankful that things worked out the way that they did and that He ordered my steps in that way. So that's one of the Jesus stories for you. Maybe we'll try again eventually. I don't know. But thanks for watching this mini series, and I'll TikTok at you later.